right, what is up, guys? Just so you know, I am not a guest speaker. I am a member here at Cornerstone, so we family. And we're gonna talk like it, all right? Last thing you guys need is on a Monday night, you'll have jobs, you'll have work, to have some pro-life pitch, to have somebody be coined with you. I'm not here to waste your time, waste my time, and I'm definitely not gonna waste Pastor Austin's time. So I'm gonna talk fast because I respect the stage and the time. So what he's asked me to share is our testimony a little bit, how we had a heart for the unborn, how it pivoted, but more importantly, how to activate the church, particularly the young adults tonight. That's where his heart is. And I love talking with this age group. It's like 18 to 30-ish. If you who are over 30 get out. I'm 37, so I'll be snitching on myself there, but I don't need that. I like this age group because y'all hate being politically correct. Y'all want the truth, boldness. I'm gonna wrap it in love, but I will be coming at you with some truth. But first, why I'm on this stage, why we have a heart for life, is really for my wife was obedient to the call on her life, and I was motivated and moved. So this is all her fault. So when I'm done talking, don't even talk to me, don't even talk to Austin, go talk to her. She really had a heart for this at a very inconvenient time, but I'll get right into it. So I like this generation because y'all are very passionate. You're very passionate what you believe in, and you care about justice, and you care about being a voice for the voiceless. But seems to be an exception to where when it comes to abortion, we're kind of silent about that. I'm not going to talk about all night just how bad abortion is. We all know that. More so, I'm going to talk about how to activate our faith. So really fast, what Love Life is. They are a Christian organization that unites and mobilizes the church to help end the abortion and orphan crisis. Now, how do we do that? As I'm talking, you'll kind of get a feel for what they do, but really fast. When we help a family choose life, we equip them with resources. Not only that, we lead them to a church. They need help. We can't help someone at a very dark scenario, have them choose life, and then say, good luck. No. That's where the church is, the hands and feet of God, right? I want to make it personal, so look to the screens. Just right over there in DC, you see the stat, 9,100 in 2023. Break that down. Weekly, that's about 176. One is too many. And in the whole state, you see in 2023, 35,000. Comes to roughly about 675 weekly. Now, this is a very important topic. It affects everybody in this room. Either you've had an abortion in your past, you're thinking about one right now, or you've assisted with somebody getting one. You drove someone there, or you paid for it. And I want to talk to the men in the room too, because this affects you. Maybe a long time ago, you've had one. You've convinced your girl, your hookup, it's not the right time. Or if we're being honest, you coerced her into one because you didn't want to lose your scholarship. Or you didn't want to be tied to her because it wasn't supposed to be a long thing. Some of you are like, hey, Jordan, I'm in none of those categories. All right, cool. I'm like, yes, you are. You want to know why? Because you know someone who's in one of those categories. They just haven't told you yet. Trust me, when I dove into this, friends that I knew for years, I had no idea. They would be like, hey, I had one in my past. And we're going to talk about that. I'm not here to guilt and shame. Healing. There's healing in the cross. And you can't fool my wife and I. Just because you go to Cornerstone Chapel, I know you're not all pro-life in this room. I'm no fool. But that's okay. That's okay. I hope by the end of the conversation, your heart changes. It pivots. Share my testimony real quick. I'm going to put you in the driver's seat of my story because I'm not here just to talk to you guys. We have slides, videos of what we saw at an event. We're going to show you what we saw. So you'll see kind of chapters as we go along. I think a lot of you can relate to our story. I'm going to talk fast because time is moving. I grew up in a Christian home. I did all the traditional activities, that you grew up in a household with two strong parents. You went to church every Sunday, Sunday school, Sunday service, not volunteer, more so forced into going. In my house back then, when I was growing up, it was a dictatorship. My parents, they were the law. And if anyone else is like me, you had that one mean Sunday school teacher. She knew the Bible well, but you swore she was one of Lucifer's fallen angels. Like she was awesome, but she was mean, sorry. But I did all the right stuff, mission trips, youth trips, sung in the choir. But what really got me to be a follower of Christ was my parents' action. They actually lived out their faith. To a young boy with ADD, I learned more through action than just mere instruction. I got saved when I was 7, baptized at 13, and in my mid-20s, really made my faith my own. I think a lot of y'all can relate to that, to where our faith was tied to our parents. So I started to bring my Bible to work. One problem, I don't work at Chick-fil-A. That would have been awesome, but when you work in downtown DC in a government building, you're gonna get some weird looks. A lot of weird looks. A lot of people disagreed, a lot agreed, and some were kind of on the fence. But I didn't realize it at the time, but God was using me. I didn't ask to be used, God. I don't want to be used. I want to stay in my Christian box. I'm just a good praying boy, just mind my own business. It's not how God works. I learned. The more we want to grow our faith, God's going to use that ambition for his glory. And it's going to be scary. I use that word on purpose. I know lots of men don't like to use the word scary. But what I learned is God is going to use that growth. Are we willing? Many times I didn't feel qualified, but does that matter? I didn't have a fancy spiritual resume, but I was willing. All right, hear me on this, and I had a willingness for God's heart more than I was afraid to get out of my comfort zone. I will say it again. I had a willingness for God's heart more than afraid to get out of my comfort zone. Again, I am a Cornerstone member like you all. Am I some whatever uber crazy Christian? No, I just was tired of just being in that box. Now, I challenge everyone in this room. Is your faith standing on the Bible, or is it standing on Cornerstone? Or are you watching online, whatever church you go to? Is your faith standing on the book, or is it standing on whatever church you attend? I'm guilty where it's been just in the church. Are you only a Christian when Cornerstone throws an event? Coming to church services, Bible study, church organized trips, the men's steak and study, women's Bible study, women's conferences, all the K groups, and so on. Those things aren't bad. They're a great asset to our faith. But does our faith only come out during those events? Or do we take it everywhere we go? If a camera followed you around today, what would your life look like? And that camera can see your thoughts as well. Would you look like a Christian when you got to the parking lot here, and then you went into Christian mode? I'm guilty of that, hands down. Well, I'm passionate about this. I didn't want to get out of my comfort zone. I wanted to please the world and God at the same time. I didn't want to rock the boat. So I tried to cater to friends and family. And do you know what happens when you try to please the world and God at the same time? So here's an awesome analogy. I thought this was awesome. Some of you probably seen this. I think I saw it on YouTube or somewhere. So a man is sitting on a fence. Got the God is here, the devil's here. And they're trying to plead their case. The devil says, come to my side. You get to do whatever you want. God said, my way is best. Hope, peace, love. The man's thinking. They walk away to let him think. He's sitting there thinking, sitting on the fence. He's thinking, man, both sound good. Devil comes back. The devil goes, oh, you made your choice. And the guy is like, no, I'm still sitting here. And the devil leans in and says, I own the fence. Let's go. That rocked me to my core because that was me trying to please everybody but God. You know what Jesus actually says about being lukewarm? I'll spit you out. If you're going to be in the world, then be in the world. I was tired of being a fence sitter. I wanted people to know, the devil to know, when I walked out that door, whose team jersey I was wearing. Excuse me. If Cornerstone went AWOL right now, if they went woke, whatever word you want to use, if Cornerstone went crazy, would your faith be okay? Or would you what happened? Of course that's not going to happen, but that's where I was back then, to where my faith was wrapped around in the church. So, heart for the unborn. I've always been pro-life, never really done anything with my faith, but it never made sense to me what killing a baby, trying to justify that, it never made sense to me. But sadly, ask me back then, I would have said the good Christian response. Well, I'm not for abortion, but in cases of rape and incest, that's okay. When you first hear that mindset, they do mean well. They have good hearts. I mean, the female went through something terrible, absolutely terrible. But the problem with that mindset that I had, some of you in this room have that mindset. And let me educate you real quick with just some common sense facts. Just let's think for a second. Look at this photo. Was this baby conceived through rape or consent? That's the point. You can't tell. Does the baby have value or not? Again, people with this mindset mean well, but here's the problem. Well, here's the statement that we all need to take home. When it comes to life, how a person is conceived does not determine a person's value. When it comes to life, how a person is conceived does not determine their personal value, their personhood. Why? If it did matter, then there was nothing wrong with slavery. Because slavery is all about how you were conceived, right? Like here. I'm obviously a black male. Obviously, I had 2 black parents. And since I came from that DNA, that lineage, I'll be treated a certain way. If one of my parents were white and one was black, I would come out lighter and I would be treated a certain way. If both your parents were white but didn't have the right genes and did not have blonde hair, blue eyes, you'll be treated a certain way. If you had red hair and freckles, you'll be treated a certain way, because it always goes back to, well, where's your gene pool from? How are you conceived? Same thing here. And think about this. We care about the woman right here. Something terrible has happened to her, terrible, and we value her. But what if this female herself, who went through something terrible, as dark, as evil as rape, what if we back up? What if she herself was conceived through rape? So everyone who values her here, oh, we value her, she should have an abortion. But if you back up, those same people would tell her mother who was raped, kill it. So you don't value her in the womb, but fast forward till now, all of a sudden she's a value to you, AKA convenience. All right, so Boy, I gotta get the ball moving. So I'm gonna play a video for you guys that event 3 years ago. I was at Cornerstone. We sat down and we first got introduced to Love Life. So I'll play this real quick.
Liberty Man. I want to tell you the story of a guy who understood this as a personal strategy and is living this out right now in our day. I met a man named Justin. Justin is a small businessman. He has a truck washing company, and he was invited by a friend to visit an abortion clinic. He'd never been to one before, and he went down there, and he realized that this clinic was actually right next to one of his largest clients. He'd never been to an abortion clinic before, and he saw about 30 moms that Saturday come into this building that was very discreet, no address, no name on the building. And he watched and he began to just consider what was happening on the other side of that brick wall as these moms went in. And he had tears as he walked. Moms go in tears, and come out, and go back in, and go out, almost as though they were wrestling with the idea of whether or not they should be doing this. And he was watching this battle for life and death happening in front of his very eyes. And it broke his heart, and he began to pray to God. And God, what do you want me to do? I mean, I've always been pro-life, but I've never really done anything. And he decided that it really came down to whether or not he believed that this was really a life that was being taken. Are these really children who are being killed, or is it not? And he felt that the Lord had asked him this question in his heart. If these were 8-year-old children, would you react any differently than just saying, I'm pro-life? I mean, like if he knew that these were 8-year-olds who were scheduled to be killed, would he react differently? Like if there was a school shooting that was going to happen and he knew the police weren't going to show up, would the church show up? And he was thinking, 100%. Of course, my whole church would show up. So he went and he asked some of the sidewalk counselors who were there in front of the clinic, where's the church? And they said, the church won't touch this. The church won't touch this. The pastors won't come near it with a 10-foot pole. It's too political. It's too divisive. And he's thinking, okay, wait a minute. And so he goes back to his office and he begins to take some of his staff to the clinic. And then he takes his pastor to the clinic to pray and to watch and to experience this and to personalize the battle, and began to take some of his friends and start a prayer walk around the clinic. And this one prayer walk so affected those people, they began to bring others, and the pastor invited other pastors, and they invited their churches. And what started out as 22 people on a prayer walk, a year later turned into 4,000 people, which turned into 10,000 people, which turned into over 100,000 people around the nation, walking prayer walks around abortion clinics, praying, seeking God, personalizing the battle. And as they watched with their very eyes, it suddenly wasn't political anymore. It was very personal. And it took off like wildfire. And he said in his heart, this is not pro-life activism. This is Christianity 101. This is the church showing up in the places of brokenness and darkness. This is loving your neighbor as yourself. And he started something called Love Life. Love Life. And he began talking to pastors around the country saying, Pastor, you need to lead the charge in this. And he created something called Adopt a Week. How many weeks are there in a pregnancy? 40. He asked pastors in a community to adopt one out of the 40 weeks of the year. And in that week, will you, pastor, preach a strong pro-life sermon from the Bible on Sunday morning to your congregation? And then on Wednesday, challenge them to have their entire congregation pray and fast and seek the heart of God over what they should do about this issue. And then on Saturday, the pastor would lead the congregation in a prayer walk to the brokenness so they could personally witness what was going on at the abortion clinic mission field and take light into the darkness and be present there. And he found that when the church showed up and prayed and worshiped at the abortion clinics, abortions decreased 70% in Charlotte, North Carolina.
70%. That is awesome. So a big backstory to that night. My wife and I, we walked into that event, your normal everyday Christian, doing what we're supposed to do. And we walked in, going to move to Florida in 2 years. It's warm there, it's nice, no snow. But we walked in there, saw this, and a little seed was planted. I'm gonna hurry up because I got 9 takeaways from Justin's story, the founder of Love Life. A friend invited him to see what's going on in his community. The friend didn't send him a TikTok, a video from YouTube, an Instagram link. There's power in seeing things in first person. 2, he realized it was actually right next door to one of his biggest clients. For decades, you and I have walked past abortion clinics and we have no idea. We had no idea for years. It's like they snuck in. We, in my opinion, should take that personally because they snuck in and they have convinced our families, friends, neighbors, moms, daughters, nieces, aunts, church members, and even convinced pastors that killing children in the womb is health care. That is an insult to our intelligence. Point 3, he saw 30 moms go in the short time frame that he was there. Imagine if he was there for 8 hours. Point 4, why did these moms have tears in their eyes? Why were they wrestling with this decision if this is liberating women? Because no matter how you vote, no matter what Planned Parenthood says, no matter what the news says, no matter what politicians say, no matter what corrupt doctors may say, no matter what IG influencers say, deep down, that mom walking into the abortion clinic knows there's a precious life in her womb. It is an insult to women to lie to their face and tell them, I'm not gonna go through all the list of lies, but you know. Point 5, pro-life but never done anything. I've been there, where we want other people to take care of the world's problems. Here's a tip. If you're passionate about something, you are the answer. Here's also a tip. If you see a need that needs to be filled, you're the solution. Not the White House, the church house. This is all, so I'm not attacking you. This is my self-talk to myself. Stop being lazy, Jordan. Follow Christ. Follow me. Follow does not mean just in the square of this church, as nice as it is. Point 6, when Justin asked the sidewalk counselor, where's the church? And he said, the church won't touch this. We all know that the church is not a church is not a building. The church is the people. So when he says the church won't touch this, he's talking about us. The Christ followers are not touching this. They're turning a blind eye for the sake of being nice, for the sake of being political. Shame on us. I say us because, again, that was me. 7, be encouraged, though. The power of one. Courage is infectious. Like you just heard, 22 people at a prayer walk grew to over 1,000 across the whole nation. God doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called, right? Point 9, when you take the light of Christ into the darkness, 70% decrease. I believe if more Christians knew that, abortion would be gone. Y'all would rush, like, where's the closest one? 70%. And guess who knows that stat more than many Christians? Planned Parenthood. Be encouraged. They know who their threat is. But their threat is the active Christian. You're supposed to be a Christian on Sunday. Welcome to my self-talk. I played sports, and I'm used to that tough kind of mindset, but I say it's in grace and love because, again, this is all me. This was me. When the light of Christ shows up, 70%. This is why I'm passionate about Christians being Christians outside of the church. I heard it once said like this: the abortion industry is not trying to silence Christians because our words have no power. They're trying to silence Christians because they know our words do. I promise you, your words, powerful. I'm a baby Christian, powerful. Every testimony counts. Okay, let's keep it moving on there. All right, so hang on, let's back up. So hang on one second. So I'm about to show you a testimony really fast about what happens when the church shows up.
Chanel's story, it really is kind of like opening the Bible and reading it, but the dates are here and now. She knows she has twins. She, society has given her every reason why she can't carry the children. She doesn't know Christ. She goes to the abortion clinic the day before Easter Sunday. We had our afternoon sidewalk team that was out there, Hector and Edgar. And I get a phone call from Edgar, and Edgar saying, hey man, this mom comes over to us and she's interested. She wants to get to know the mentorship program.
We were about to leave already, and Edgar told me, let's pray. We prayed, and right after we prayed, we opened our eyes, and she was standing there asking us questions. So I know it's not a coincidence, and I know it's all God's divine plan.
I said, if you choose to keep this baby, we'll set you up, and we'll make you part of our family. And she said, I want to do that.
She said, I'm choosing life, but I'm really scared. And I said, honey, we have had literally 100 people praying for you today.
So then after that, she went to church with us on Easter Sunday. And again, she was not raised in a Christian home. Our pastor, he did an altar call.
She's like, should I go? I said, well, what is the Lord telling you? And she goes, I think I need to go. I need to go. She goes, will you go with me? I said, of course I'll go with you.
We walked on the stage and he prayed over all of us. And that time I cried and I felt so warm in my body and so warm in my heart. And I couldn't believe what I was feeling.
We got her involved in the mentorship program through Love Life.
I fell in love with her right away, and we just built that rapport, and she could come to me, questions, concerns, prayer requests, and it just grew from there. And then shortly after that, she had an opportunity to be baptized.
That was a really surreal experience because I had my 2 babies, and in my mind, it's like all of us are getting baptized, like all 3 of us got baptized that day. After I was baptized by Pastor Ron, it really felt real. I really dedicated my life and my heart to God.
A lot of times people think that, well, you know what, we're just focusing on stopping abortion. But it's about sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ, sharing the love of Christ, and simply letting people know that the church is here to help.
It turned out to be the biggest blessing of my life. And I wouldn't change anything about it. And I wouldn't go back.
God doesn't necessarily call the equipped, He equips the called. And we are all called to stand up for the unborn, and it takes faith, but He will equip you. It is God that does the work. We just have to show up.
We know exactly where babies are dying, and the church needs to be there.
It saved me. You can save a lot of other young mothers who don't know what to do just from standing there for 20 or 30 minutes. It makes me so emotional, I'm sorry, to even think about going through with it, actually. I'm happy they took the time to reach out.
I got the privilege to see God come full circle in this moment and to see Him move in a young lady's life who just months before had no hope and didn't believe that she could do any of this. And yet God did it for her.
Man. See, that's what my wife and I want to bring here. You'd be surprised. That applause you just gave, people will be applauding you. That's our goal, what to bring here. So, all right, Love Life. Oh, perfect. I can't read that far. All right. Love Life is uniting and mobilizing the church to create a culture of love and life that will bring an end to the abortion and orphan crisis. So we talked a lot about abortion. Let's kind of pivot to the orphan side. So our goal is to switch this. There's too many kids in the foster care system. We want more to be adopted and getting out. So generally speaking, when it comes to foster care, something went wrong with the parents in the household. Law enforcement got involved, someone, drugs, jail, the whole nine, and they got separated. Then the kids go to some kind of a home and then into a foster parent's household, generally speaking. You can foster to adopt, so that's cool, but a lot of times they just kind of hover in the foster care system. So a lot of pro-aborts will call a guy like me, like, oh, you're only pro-birth, and our mission statement debunks that. And since our goal is to go after the cause of something, not a quick Band-Aid, if the household is the justification to abort, then don't kill the baby, fix the household. So when we help a family choose life, we pour into them. That's the whole point. So it's a healthy house on Christ, the foundation, so the house does not break up and get into that system. We are not an adoption agency, but we do have resources that can bridge the gap if you want to go that route, and that's awesome. We need more Christ followers in the adoption agency. But as you see, we need more. They say you're just pro-birth. Well, yeah, sure, I'm pro-birth, but since I'm a Christian, there's pro-abortion, there's pro-life, and then there's me. I'm neither. I'm just a Christian. A Christian is more powerful than just pro-life. How? Because everyone in this room, care about the baby in the womb, life, and eternal salvation after death. No one loves children more than the Christian. The pro-abortion industry will swear to you, oh, we love women more. How? When you don't value them in the womb. We do, even if they were conceived however. Womb to the tomb and beyond, because of Christ. This is not pro-life activism. Our goal isn't to save a mom from abortion. Our goal is to lead her to Christ, and then by default, the rest will follow suit. We use Love Life as a vehicle for that, because we have to be at the battlegrounds of the very front when we're about to walk into that door, be a light of Christ, and show grace and love. Let me keep it moving. Oh, all right, so real fast, one more video. It's gonna show Kirk Cameron's wife. It's gonna show how abortion and adoption have generational effects. So let's play that real quick and then I'll wrap up.
Now you guys may be wondering, why is this particular issue something that I am so passionate about? I'll tell you why. It's because it's part of our story. It's Chelsea's story. This isn't something that we talked a lot about publicly, but we feel like now is the time to talk about it. And Chelsea sat down in the living room and she recorded a message and she asked me to play it for you. Please watch.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of the evening, especially this part of the evening. I want to share a story with you. When my oldest son, Jack, was 4 and a half, and my daughter Isabella was 3, and my daughter Anna was 2, and Luke was 1, and I was pregnant with Olivia. I was taking the kids over the canyon in my 15-passenger van, and we were heading to the beach. We'd spend the day just playing around, and I had my 4 car seats. And I remembered on this specific day, I was telling the kids about the baby that was growing in my tummy, their brother or sister, and how the baby was moving and it was kicking, and they just thought that was so funny. And we were talking about how it was going to get bigger and bigger. And out of the blue, it got kind of quiet, and I heard Jack say, my oldest son say, "Mom." I said, "Yeah." "Was I in your tummy?" And I thought for a moment, oh, okay, we're going to have our first conversation about adoption. I said, "No." And he said, "Was Bella?" I said, "No." "Was Anna?" "No." "Was Luke?" "No." It was really quiet. And he said, "Well, then whose tummy was I in?" And this was the part where I just prayed and I said, okay, Lord, just give me the words that he can understand this and be as honest as I can be. And I said, "Jack, I don't know her. I've never met her. but I feel like I know her because she's a part of you. And I love her because God placed you in her tummy and she took care of you for 9 months. She fed you and she loved you and you grew inside of her. And then when it was time for you to be born, she knew. She listened to God and she knew that it was not her time to be your mom. And at the very same time, Dad and I were praying for a baby. And we were dreaming about babies. Maybe this little boy, he'll have green eyes and curly hair like you have, just like Dad. But we didn't know. We didn't care really about that. We just knew that God was going to bring us the baby that was meant to be our son or daughter. And the minute we held you, I knew that you were the baby I dreamed about. And there was somebody that knew the person whose tummy you grew in, that beautiful woman whose tummy you grew in, and they knew us. And she's the one who brought you from the time you were born to us because we were meant to be your family. And Jack, I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for the person who took care of you for 9 months and loved you and gave you life. And you know what else? I wasn't in Grandma Reen's tummy either. And he said, you weren't? I said, no. God placed me in someone's tummy and she took care of me for 9 months too and gave me life. And then she let God direct me to the family that I was meant to be in. And I will always love her and always be so thankful that she took such good care of me for 9 months. And he listened and he just thought about it and he said, oh. And I remember at that moment thinking, oh my goodness, I'm so thankful for the people who were there for all 5 of those young girls. When you're scared, when you maybe feel ashamed, when you feel alone and you don't know what to do. Because at that time, I think our instinct is to make something not real. It's just not real and I just need to make this go away. And I'm so grateful that there was someone there who came alongside them and loved them and said, you know what? Come here. It's all gonna be okay. This is real. And this is a real baby. And it's a real heartbeat. And you can do this. And I think when you see that, and someone's there telling you, you can do this, this would be the most heroic thing you do, and you can do this, and I'm gonna help you, that so many women would choose life for their baby. And I'm thrilled when, as soon as Save the Storks came across our path, I knew it was an answered prayer to me. And I'm so excited to be part of this organization. I think more thrilled that I can speak to you about it and that as the church, we can partner together. And I know there's so many worthy causes. And I feel like there's not many like this. The more of us who join together and support this, the more women that will be reached. And if we can reach their hearts and they can see the heartbeat, I know they will choose life. I hope that you will pray about this and join us and tell as many people as you can about it too. And I hope sometime I can come to your city and meet you in person. But until then, God bless you, and I hope you have a great time tonight. And Kirk, I love you. See you when you get home.
So now you get it, right? My wife was this close to not existing. My first 4 kids were 1 doctor appointment away from not being here. And if Chelsea hadn't been born, if she had been aborted, our 2 natural born children wouldn't be here either. And I am so grateful for people who take the time to talk to these girls and help them and let them know that there are options and that there are choices. Chelsea and I love life. Not only because they're helping moms and babies, but because they're activating churches and giving churches a way to live out love and seeing revival come to their community.
Awesome. Time check. So adoption is a win-win. You had a mom with was not ready to be a mom, carried the baby full term. You had the Cameron family pray for a child. So what bridged the gap? Adoption. Kind of the spelling is almost close to abortion. I kind of have to pronunciate when I say the two. But you see how adoption is a generational act of kindness. Adoption is a generational act of kindness. If she was aborted all of those years ago, none of that would have happened. And y'all think I have good eyes. I can't read that. All right, so I don't want to block anybody. So to a lot of stats, I'll talk about the one on the bottom here. 71% under 21 become pregnant. Then here comes Planned Parenthood to be their hero. The cycle continues. 1 in 4 experience PTSD. Many end up addicted to drugs or back in jail. The cycle continues. Again, the goal is to fix the heart, fix the home, change the world. A lot of people want to do it backwards. A lot of people want to fix everything else but themselves. All right, so before we want to change the world, let's stop looking at the speck in someone else's eye and get the log out of our own eye. Let's clean up the church house first. 54% of women having abortions are Christians. I did not know that stat until I started to do some research and get involved in this. Because it's very easy to say Christian. It's easy to come to church. And my heart goes out to them. I mean, look at the stats. Like, I wish I was wrong. So before we want to charge out of here and go way over across the world and save somebody, let's get the church house right. And with that last stat, I'm pretty sure somebody in this room has had an abortion in their past, and you are in the best place. I'm no fool, again, like, someone in this room may have had one, but look at that. No shame, no condemnation. Love Life has a restored life program, mentorships, counseling. We have amazing ladies on our team that have had abortions in their past. They make the best sidewalk counselors because they know firsthand what goes on behind closed doors. So the best thing to heal a wound at times is to use it as a weapon against the devil's playground, his place of passion. Where does the devil love the most? To convince the image bearers of God that their children are not of value until the mother deems them of worthy. Boom. Thank you for that. Also, adoption affects men, the fathers. Abortion affects men. I know when we hear the word abortion, we go straight to the moms. Men in the room, we have mentorship for you as well. That's where my heart is. I'm big on men not burying things. If you're so big and tough, then go back to those dark places, let God penetrate and heal you, and use it as a weapon. Be a soldier, hold that sword high, not just lift your truck. That's cute. I like trucks, by the way. So. But I have to edify my wife. I know y'all thinking probably, man, Jordan, this is great, but I'm busy. And I don't have the mental space for this. This is heavy. Let me be crazy transparent with you. When we got involved in this, we tried to get pregnant for 2 years. We can't. So how do you think she feels? She's right out there. We're standing on the sidewalk of an abortion clinic. We tried for 2 years trying to get pregnant. We can't. And she sees women that can get pregnant and they're killing their baby. How does she feel? Try for 2 years, is obedient to the call, sees moms go in and kill their child. On top of that, want to be really transparent? On top of that, and this edifies her, during the part where we were married for 6 years, then we finally wanted to try. Out of nowhere, her husband gets a porn addiction for 8 months. I'll tell everybody in this room, get it out of your life now. That chemically messed with my brain where I couldn't perform. Can I be honest? on top of that, now talk to her. She still was obedient. Talk about a woman of strength, my wife. She had grace for me. Praise God, I've overcome that addiction. My son's right out there. That's why I give her the credit of all this. We want to launch a Love Life chapter here. She gets all the credit for being obedient when it was not convenient. Trust me. And I need to rush through because I am technically out of time. But is it cool if I wrap up really fast? Go ahead, I'll be wrapping fast. Okay. So the call of action. So Love Life, that's them. They've been doing awesome stuff. The first call of action is join us and pray at the clinic. Come to our table, find out more info about making that happen. The next thing is that we need financial partners. We need resources to pour into these moms as best as we can. Moms travel for miles. So Cornerstone can't do everything. We need a network of churches. If you know anyone at other churches, community leaders, pastors that want to give to a cause that's all about keeping families together and leading them to Christ. And it's awesome to know that. It's awesome to give overseas, and we need that, but there's power when you're giving locally to save your communities. And you feel free to scan the QR code and come talk to us afterwards too. I just want to go really fast. The third call to action is if you're like my wife and I, where you wanted to give, but you wanted to also act, come talk to us in the back. There are ways to get involved because it takes it's not the White House that's the solution. It's the church house. And I'll close with this. Thank you for your time, Mr. Austin. Ever since I got into this ministry, this verse has been tattooed on my heart. Isaiah 6:8. It's near and dear to me because that's my son's name. Isaiah 6:8. And I heard a voice from the Lord. And it said, who shall I send and who shall go for us? And I said, here am I, send me. The funny thing about that verse, and kind of scary, when you say it and mean it, are you going to be sent to places where you thought you would never go? Maybe a Monday night, and you're on stage, talking to the young adults group, and you don't know what you're doing, but you have that willing heart to step into the fray of the unknown. Because you'd rather do that than be a fence sitter. That was me. Come talk to us, please. Austin, sorry that I ran long, but thank you for letting us. Want me to pray us out? Or okay, all right, cool. Let's pray really quick. Dear Lord, just thank you for this time. I'm very encouraged by this young adults group. They sounded amazing when they were singing. You can hear their hearts. You can hear their hearts, Lord. I pray tonight, no matter what ministry they get into, that they activate their faith. When they're at work, when they're in school, when they're at the gym, just they know those windows where I can speak a little spiritual positiveness right here. Let me not be a coward and shy from being a light of Christ. Thank you again for Pastor Austin for leading this group and leading by example. Thank you, Lord, for Cornerstone. And I pray that everyone gets home safely. In Jesus' name, amen.